Hey, this is Scott with Hungry Worms. This video is so overdue and it's a mess here, but I've been delaying this so much that I just had to call it. We're doing it. So this will be probably the first video in a series that I'm probably going to call The Hunt for Eisenia Fetida. A lot of the worm suppliers, or actually none of them in the country right now, know if their worms are Eisenia Fetida or Eisenia Andrei. Studies have shown that relying on morphology alone to identify the worms is not very accurate. It's just barely better than a coin flip and this is researchers who are guessing. And so not many places truly know what worms they have in. I'm trying to do something about it. So what I've got here, these are mason jars with synthetic filter discs. Use them for my mushroom business, but I'll be repurposing them for the worms. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a virgin earthworm from different suspected subspecies of, well, I guess they're not really subspecies, from different strains of red wigglers. So I've got earthworms from Carolina Biological Supply. And so if you look in the research, places that are using Eisenia Fetida in research, that's where they're getting their worms from. And these worms from Carolina, some of them have the striping, the clear pronounced striping that you would expect with Eisenia Fetida, and some of them don't. And those other ones that don't, I think, that could potentially be Eisenia Andrei. And so I'll take some of these worms, virgin, put them together and see if they mate. As I'm editing this video right now, I misspoke when I first said it. So the goal is to get these worms to mate and create offspring, then remove the adult worms and see if the offspring or potential hybrids can then mate and create more worms. If the potential hybrids, make more babies and those babies, the cocoons hatch and it creates another generation, then they are genetically the same species is my understanding. But if they make cocoons and those cocoons are infertile or never hatch, then it is likely because they are actually indeed separate species. And as kind of a separate test to all this, another thing I've been curious about is if red wigglers lose their stripes over time. And so we'll put a red wiggler in there we'll make note of how stripy it is and see over time if it loses those stripes. And so it'll be a bit of an experiment, but I'm getting it done today. So let's get into it. So here's our first test subject. He's quite stripy. He's young. So it has not mated before. So it has no earthworm. These red wigglers will store sperm. It's an organ. It's called I don't want to try to pronounce it, but so that's why it's important to pick a worm that has not mated before. So here's test subject number 1. And we will put him in here. I can get it open. I'll add some bedding in here a little bit later. I guess I need to do that right now. So here we go. And I'll add some bedding. So this is a mix of pit moss. Has never been hydrated before. I just barely added water to it and mixed in some Missouri worm chow. So this will be the bedding that we'll have him living in. Where is he? There's the other one. So you can see is he upside down? I'll add him. Here's our next one. This is the good one. So here is jar number 1. Today is May 19th, which is coincidentally 3 months after I started the experiment. So let's get this jar open and take a look at the worms. And here are the 2 worms, the one on the left being the suspected Fetida, and on the right, suspected Andrei. And of course, all these jars have cocoons. I think this one I was able to find 4 or 5 pretty easy. All of the jars had plenty of cocoons, even a couple had some juveniles in it. And I'm going to be adding fresh bedding. This is pit moss, as well as some fresh food and water to all these bins, just to make sure the babies have a good environment to hatch and grow in. Originally, I was putting the material back in the jar, but later I decided to put all the material into a mushroom grow bag, which I'll show in a moment. And on to jar number 2. The lighting I was working with wasn't as great as it should have been, but here are the 2 worms. I believe it's a stripey on the right and not stripey on the left. I'm sorry, I should have paid more attention with the lighting. And here we have some of the coons. I think we've got about 5 right here. And I also did find a juvenile worm in this one. And some more fresh bedding and food. Here we are, jar number 3. Once again, I was more focused on seeing the worms myself rather than through camera, but I didn't have any groundbreaking observations with these ones. And with all the jars, there are cocoons in this one as well. Because at this point, I decided just to mix all of the hatching material in together. All the adults were removed. They can grow together, hatch together. That's fine, no problem at all. We just got to see if these guys can mate and create offspring or not. And on to jar number 4. And here are the worms, stripy ones between my fingers on the top right, non-stripies in the bottom left. Okay, here we go, jar number 5. And I pulled the worms out separately on this one, don't know why. So here's our suspected Eisenia Fetida. And here's our suspected Eisenia Andrei. So here I'll mix in some fresh bedding and fresh food for them. And I'm going to put them all with the food and the cocoons into a mushroom grow bag. A lot of mushroom supplies making a feature on this video today. Tape it up. I'm going to weigh it just so I know what the moisture content is. I can see how much it maybe evaporates and starts to dry out. I can add water if needed. And then I'll put some tape on it, cover it up, and leave it in my closet for probably another 3 months. And I will check in with you guys then for a part 2 to this, where we will see if these guys will create fertile offspring, or I guess if they are fertile offspring or not. So stay tuned. Thanks, guys.